So I just showed you guys this video, but one that's even more scary.
Oh no! Oh my god!
This is a world record attempt, the longest slackline ever. Right now he's 600 meters above the earth, which means a little over 6 football fields. So we're talking meters. Meters are longer than yards. So think of football field plus some of the end zone, and that'll be 100 meters. So slacklining, right, is one of my hobbies. Now, I do not do crazy nonsense like this. However, I do enjoy slacklining. It's a nice balance, nice little core workout. Right, so I do it from, oh, he's tethered on. By the way, if you're an anxious person and you're like, oh my gosh, he was so high. If he falls, he's tethered on. So he only falls a couple feet, and then he pulls himself back up. And he gets a leg back up, and then you get back onto the slack line. Joey? Yeah, it's a lot of feet. So, why did I have videos about slackline playing, aside from the fact that I like you guys to know who I am? We today are going to talk about Cecil. Now, Cecil is a tightrope performer, but since tightropes are kind of a dying art in slackline, especially thanks to Red Bull, so what we don't need to be doing right now is either, well, I don't know if you're on a browser or if that's just your background picture, so never mind actually. But tightrope walkers and slackliners alike can't always move in the same direction because it's a balance game, right? So if I'm balancing and I go to move forward and I don't quite have my balance, I might step back a step or two. So what we're going to talk about today is positive motions and negative motions. Now you can't actually move a negative distance. Can anyone tell me why? Like, why can't we move a negative distance? There's a box of canvases back there too. There's a box of that. Why can't we move negative distances? Yeah? So what does it mean to move like, explain moving a positive distance. Yeah. Yeah, like getting somewhere. Like, I need to get to the door. I'm going to walk 20 feet to get to the door. But then, if I need to get back to my desk, am I walking a negative 20 feet? No. I'm again walking 20 feet, but in the opposite direction. So remember that negatives have really 2 different meanings. One, like a loss of something, something going down, like a lack of something. Or the opposite of something else. So today we're using negatives as the opposite of something else. So, Cecil's an acrobat from the local circus. He needs to get from A to B. Here's really what it comes down to. Go into problem 231 and click on acrobat number line. Now you don't know how to use this yet, so give me your attention for just a moment. All eyes on the board, even if you are not into the acrobat tool, all eyes on the board. This makes that go away or come back. Okay, so that's what that arrow does. This is which puzzle we're on. So that choose a puzzle, that's going to give me the different puzzles that we have to solve here. We're going to all start on the 24 puzzle. The 24 feet is his span of tightrope. Hey, eyes up here. I see some people not looking. However, he can go beyond the end of his tightrope just fine as long as he comes back. So the wheel, and I know you guys don't have a mouse, but I think if you like, well, you can really just click. Nah, I don't know where you can click. You guys might not be able to change your zoom. If you had a mouse, the wheel changes the zoom, so if you know how to do that on a Chromebook, awesome. I'm not 100% sure. But then we hit play, and we see if the moves get us to where we want to be, because he needs to take his bow at exactly the end point. Now, there's platforms on both sides. If you've ever been to the circus or seen anyone, you have to mount it to a platform, so he can walk onto the platform, but then no one can see him, so you need to come back and take a bow. So I want you with your partner, not your whole group, just whoever you're sitting next to, and if you're alone, that's okay. Work through these different puzzles, but then write out when you get a solution. So I would write 24 equals, and if you want a freebie, you can go ahead and write this out. Guys, why are there people without graph paper? I'll wait, and so will all of your classmates. The processes in my class are pretty straightforward. You come in, you fill out your plan book, and you get out some graph paper for notes. That's essentially been what we've done every single day for the past month, aside from weekends. making me ask. It makes me feel like you don't want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, I mean, there's the opening that we call a door, but it's not a door. The opening, the void.
Why does it smell like blueberry medicine? Because it can.
What medicine comes blueberry?
I'm eating blueberry medicine. Gross.
Okay, so calm down. That's a personal opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their snack. Chill. All right, so you're gonna write out the moves that you made. So we made a positive 8 plus another positive 8 plus another positive 8 plus a negative 8. That made my 24. You need 2 different solutions for each length. So as I walk around, I should see 24 equals, 24 equals. Then move on to the next puzzle, and you can choose whichever puzzle you want. Dave, I'll come in just a second. So my next puzzle, maybe I go to 27 next. I don't really care, but you need to try to do all of them. So 27, notice that my options are different now. So now my options for lengths that I can move, 4, 8, 12, 19, and all of their opposites. So then I would write out 27 equals, and once I find a solution that works, write it down. Write down what moves you make. Now, you can have really complicated moves, like positive 4, positive 8, negative 12, positive 4, positive 12, positive 19, negative 8, and I don't know, I might be there. I totally just poked buttons. I did not plan this. Haha! I seriously did not plan that. I just got lucky. So I could write down 4 plus 8. Now hold on. Remember, subtraction's a lie. So I want to keep you from making that mistake before we start. You're going to write everything as addition because every move is and, right? But and negative 12. Then plus 4 plus 12, right? And I keep going. Then I'll do the plus 19, then the plus the negative 8. Now you don't need to make them this complicated, but you can. Now do not spend your whole time trying to make a move with like 100 additions. Like that's not going to help your brain. That's not going to help you today. Any questions, Ava?
Okay. Last night I was trying to do homework with my dad, and he I don't even know what he was doing, but he put 3 9s and he wrote it out. And I asked him, I was like, well, can't you just do multiply by 3? So can't you just do that?
Multiply by 3. What do you mean?
Except in this, but do 24 equals 10.
Oh, you said 9 plus 9 plus 9.
Yeah.
Instead, just do 9 times 3. Mm-hmm. You can, but both are right. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Sure, you can steal mine for the 27 also. You guys need 2 for each one. 2 for each length. I don't know why this is back here, but it's irresistible to play with, so I'll take the tape measure and put it in. Thank you.
Could I please have George minister to the office, please? George? Thank you.
No, when you turn this around to show them, every different puzzle. You need 2 solutions for each puzzle. And guys, it tells you your solution once you get it right? It writes it out for me, so you just copy that down, right? Plus the negative, plus positive, plus positive, plus positive, plus negative.
Wait, Mr. Hudson, so we have to have 2 for each.
2 for each length.
So
Yep.
this would work.
That's one of. Yeah. Yep.
I did it. Okay.
2
So
for each.
now we have to
Make sure you share. Kind of select what will work. Make sure you share. I feel like I need to move. I feel dark in here.
Yeah, I turn on the top row.
Yeah.
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 I'm kind of busy.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Kind of get like the lamp over here. Still, I agree with you. It's nice mood lighting rather than.
They tend to be more chill.
See, because that equals 30 minutes. So
Oh.
all we have to do is 10
Coolest
10
thing that came out yesterday because not much great happened at that conference. Not like
Was this just a?
yeah, I thought it was he actually trained us as well. We did something more for all the team. You know the algebra tiles? Like that. Yeah. But I don't have any Y values. It's all just X values because this was like 7th grade, 8th grade. So I should ask Tom, like, hey, since I have high school, can I get some of the squared and some XYs? Like, but they weren't in the set. It was like a package set.
Though you gotta put for something like that on the real days, like at least something you can take back and use.
Some of it was like, here, copy paste it into the spreadsheet. Ooh, this is secretary work. Like, why am I not with my students right now?
I forgot to. I don't know how 3D went. I had
He said it was fine. I got back here during 3B. So yeah, what's up?
Okay, so what if I did this? Would that work?
Well, hit play.
Well, no, I mean like.
Hit play.
Alright.
Oh, you're saying you. That's different because you use 4 and 4. I mean, sure. Yeah. Try to have at least one of your solutions for the length involve a negative. Try to involve at least one negative to make it a bit more fun. So he goes both directions. If you'd like to come up here and show your raise your hand. I'll come around and check that you have it written out on your paper. Then you can come select it and do it. Oh, it's not written yet. You gotta have it written, done, ready. Yeah, you should. You gonna go show the 30?
Yeah. Okay.
No, you guys can't do it at the same time, so let her show hers. Then we'll capture it.
Yours first, then I
Wait, that's 24.
Oh wait, no, I'm
I'm
doing
gonna go at 24. Do your 38.
Yeah, I'm doing 38.
Yeah, Ava.
Okay. So.
You can keep working, but Ava's gonna show her solution to 38.
10. Me and the
You give up.
That's so easy.
Love Cecil. Except I make Cecil.
Sister. Mr. Hudson.
You better go. I make Cecil.
Write this down, write this down.
Everybody.
So, straightforward. Ava said if I take a 10 jump, a 10 jump, a 10 jump, and an 8 jump, I get to 38. Very good.
Simple.
Hit the X. Oh, hold on. Go capture. It has to have some kind of ink to want to capture.
I'm gonna make it mine a little more.
Alright, which one are you doing, Aiden?
I'm
What is
doing
that?
27.
27?
Wait, I'm gonna test it to see if it works. Oh, mine is great. Yay!
That's what she just showed.
Yay.
Good work. That's what she put up there. Yeah.
Hey guys, let's go do this.
Huh. So, Aiden does a little dance there at the end to show everyone that he can go back and forth and not fall off. Now, writing that out would be
That's
slightly annoying.
simple. Fun.
It's like he's doing a little salsa. Alright, I'm gonna write this out.
Wait, really? It's just 19 plus 8.
Really? It's just 19 and 8.
Oh, yeah. Write that down.
What am I doing now? Should I write it down?
I have a good one for 30.
What? This one? Works? You want to come show it? Come on, he's gonna come show 17 first. Yeah, you guys gotta write that out, or you gotta do a different one. Hey!
Don't touch them. I love horses.
You gonna come show it? Nice, we got a 17 here. Sky's gonna come show. You said a 15 is what you're doing? Hit play. Check it.
Wait, hold on. I only have.
All right, Skylar does 11, 6, -3, and 4. Yes.
Oh, really? You did 47 one?
No, your giant, like, 8 million moves. No, we're going to move on. All right, so please close that tab and log off your Chromebook. We'll just leave them here right now. Now, you can get back to this activity just from the ebook. So if you're having fun and you were one of the people who are like, no, I want to keep working, I agree. This is fun. But I got to teach class. So you can come back to it in the ebook whenever you would like. It will always be here in lesson 221.
You just had to do that.
You didn't have to teach class, Mr. Hudson.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, if it was up to me, we'd like hang out and talk about, I don't know, how math is involved in the world all day long. Alright, so I'll know we're ready to move on when everyone's screens are shut. We don't need to put those away right now, but we'll just keep them at our... Either keep them at your desk or stick them under your desk on the rack thing. But guys, please... Hey. Please take responsibility for your objects. I have some sneakers that are like not taking responsibility for the things they get out, and they're just like ditching Chromebooks as they leave. They're just like, oh, I'm just gonna stick it over here, and somebody else will take care of it. I don't know if you have a maid at home. Like literally, some people have house cleaners and maids or whatever. Like we don't here. You gotta put your stuff away. Okay, so please make sure you do that at the end of class. What up, Fadil? All right, so. Mara had the length of 17, and she got really into it, right? So she puts all these lengths up here. I want you guys to check, will these all work? All these lengths that Mara had for 17. Yeah, right? So 7 plus 3 is 10, plus another 7, yeah. Of course, 7 and 10, of course, 10 and 7. Now D. If we were trying to explain D, how do you explain what happened? Question or answer?
I have an answer.
Okay.
Okay. So, for how you could explain D is, okay, so 10 plus 10 is 20, right?
Yeah.
No, 2
Yes.
plus 2 is 4.
And then, so then what you could do is you could say, like, okay, 10 plus 10 is 20, minus 3, that's what, 17? No, that's not 17. That's...
You're right.
Yeah. I am?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I agree. 100% agree.
So then you could just say that 10 plus 10 is 20, and then what you have to do is just minus 3.
I agree with all the math you said. You didn't explain what Cecil did. Joey?
So to explain D, you're adding 2 tens, and then you're adding -3.
So explain what the -3 means in this situation, or what like the 20 meant in the.
You're adding a negative to a 5.
I don't think I'm asking the question well enough. Sky, we'll try you and then see if.
He took 10 steps forward, then another 10, and then he went back 3 steps.
Thank you. He went beyond the platform and then he came back. Right? The idea here, is that negative numbers just do the opposite of whatever the positive was doing. So if we say the temperature is going to drop by 7 degrees, that'd be like adding a -7. If it's going to go up by 7 degrees, we just say +7. We already did that for the solutions. So what's another analogy that we got from the, because I want to make sure that we watch this video, and if not, we're going to, from the PBS Math Club videos with like Batman. Did we watch that one? Hey, guys, I have a lot of side conversations and some people just making noise. So I'm going to remind us, right, Layla? 7th grade appropriate classroom behavior. If you just need to make noise, go do it somewhere else. Sorry, love you, but I got to teach.
It was the one about where minus doesn't exist.
Yeah, subtraction doesn't exist. So we think about it like good guys, bad guys. Right? So another way to think about this, if the tightrope isn't really working for you, or like it might just not really click in your brain, good guys, bad guys, right? 2 good guys with strength of 10 show up and get together. What's their strength now? 20. Then a bad guy of strength 3 shows up and he's like, let's fight. Right? Who wins? The good guys. By how much?
20.
17, right? Because they had 20. And then we did the minus 3. So here very soon, we're going to be doing work with combining like terms. Like terms, don't, you're fine. Have I made your life any really harder since we started this school year?
No.
You gave us a lot of CPM.
I did give you a lot of homework,
You gave us way
but it's
too much
helping you be better.
Not really.
Don't worry, just trust me. Do you trust me?
Kind of.
Okay, I'll take kind of. We're only a month in, I'll take kind of. So, really what I'm getting at here is just like combining like terms, when you go to add positives and negatives, I would advise that you combine like signs first. So group all of your positives, all your good guys, put those all together. Group all of your negatives, all your bad guys, put those together. Then have the positive come join the negative and determine who wins and by how much. I had some questions about the homework, and actually one that I couldn't respond to last night because I was busy and at the marching band thing. So I think I actually want to pop over to some of the previous homework that we've done this week and look at that for just a minute. So did anyone have questions from last night's homework? It was 2-1-2 last night.
I already did that.
I accidentally did tonight's homework because I thought I mixed up the numbers.
Yeah, so did you not do 2-1-2 yet? So do it tonight.
Wait, what? He said we had no new homework yesterday.
Yesterday's was the same as Tuesday's.
Yeah.
It was this. Okay,
Oh, then
let's clarify.
I already
this.
did it. I already did it.
Monday, I told you guys I would give you 2 days of homework. But then we moved through the lesson kind of quickly. So Tuesday, we were ready to start a new lesson. But yesterday, all you worked on was the test and doing your homework, so there was nothing new assigned. So right now, you should have 2-1-1 done, probably.
Yeah.
2-1-2 at least started, hopefully done. And then today is 2-2-1. Okay, so you've already done that, sweet, because you probably had time potentially to work ahead yesterday. Ava?
Okay. Last night I was working on homework with my dad.
Yeah.
Don't ever work on homework with your dad.
No, working on homework with your dad's a good idea.
He did
But
not learn
2-1-2?
what we learned.
So
No,
they didn't learn how
They
we
didn't
learned.
learn Common
Okay,
Core.
and we were doing I don't remember. We were doing some problem. And
Hey, I can't hear Ava, guys.
we had a fraction and we had to change it into like a percentage. But I was trying to tell him that I need to get a denominator of 100.
Did he tell you you just need to divide?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said just divide the numerator by the denominator. I'm
He's
like,
not
Dad,
wrong.
I'm gonna get in trouble if you do that.
That works.
Okay, but I didn't know that.
So no, what you're saying is absolutely true. So was it like the 5/8 problem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's look at 5/8. If you want to flip, you should have in your binder the homework really close to where you are in your binder right now. If you want to flip and look at problem 27, let's check this out for a minute because it's worth talking about. So Ava said the disagreement with her dad was that she wanted to find a denominator of 100. Now, here's the difference between how math used to be taught and how we do it now. We really want you, and quite frankly need you, to understand why we get the answer we get. Your parents were kind of riding this wave of new technology and like new things we have available and like let's use everything we have at our disposal. A fraction is nothing more than a division problem. And a division problem can be represented by a fraction. So what 5/8 also means is 5 divided by 8. So a lot of your parents will be tempted, and this is not wrong, but those be tempted to say, grab a calculator, do 5 divided by 8, and get the answer of 0.625. But the problem with just doing that is you don't really understand why you got that answer aside from magic in the calculator. Right, so we could long divide, or if we do what we've been doing in class, 100 doesn't work well. 1,000 does. This is a multiplication of 125, and that's how we get our answer.
I told him to do that, and he's like, no.
So he wasn't wrong. You have to explain to him why what you're doing is right.
I tried to, but he asks way too many questions. He's like, so how did you get that? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, if you can't tell him how you got it, that is an issue.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to say, I'm doing the same thing in the denominator as I'm doing in the numerator, and then that tells me how to write it as a decimal, and we know that to go from decimal to percent, we can either make the denominator 100, so if I put a decimal there, I got to put a decimal here, but that's not really how we write fractions, but it's okay. Like, if I'm just trying to get to percent, 62.5%. What other homework questions do we have? Because I'm collecting homework next week. We don't have class tomorrow, so if you got time to do it, but it said on the main screen when you came in, I'll collect homework on Tuesdays. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna, Tuesday. I do not collect homework on Monday. Like, now, I won't say that as a definitive. If I need to, I might, but I just try to avoid it. What about 211? Were there questions from that? Don't think so. Alright, because there's a lot of people that can't control their impulses today. Because of where we're headed, let's go ahead and look at 222 for a moment, because it is a bit more of a complex lesson than 221. 221's a lot of intro to this idea, and the biggest thing that we wanted you to get out of there is that negative numbers mean different things. They can mean the opposite, they can mean go down, they can mean go backwards, they mean different things. We're sure no other questions.
Yeah, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So the homework that is due is 2.11, 2.1.2, and 2.2.1.
Correct, sir.
Boom. Okay. I'm
Boom.
just asking. Boom.
I like your boom.
Jesus.
Whoa. He's not teaching math, I am.
I said boom first.
Alright, so if you want to go ahead and throw a header on your paper, this will help us that potentially on Monday we'll be able to have homework time at the end of class, and then maybe I'm always trying to build in homework time. You guys had a lot of homework time yesterday, so we're going to keep trucking on the lesson. So if you could either continue your notes from another sheet, draw a squiggly line across, and we'll put a new header, or new page. We're in 222 now. And here's what I want you to put for the title, because the integers don't really matter. I just want you to put adding rational numbers. Adding rational numbers. Now, if we're going to talk about rational numbers, we're going to need to know what that means. Can anyone tell me what a rational number is and why that's different than an integer? Sky? Joey? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by stuff after it. What is the root? And now it should be real easy. What's the root of the word rational? Ratio. Anyone know what a ratio is?
Oh, that's that thing. Isn't it like I know what it is.
So please, on your paper, and if you want, you can put a little DEF because we're going to define a ratio is just a way to compare two numbers. I'm trying to make your life easy, so I'm using hashtag, I'm using the number 2 and the number symbol. You got that down, Adrian? You with me? So, how this looks is either A over B, A colon B, or the verbal expression A to B. So if I'm talking about cookies to kids, I have 72 cookies to 36 kids. How many cookies is that per kid? We could simplify that ratio down. If I talk about dollars to pounds of food, right? It costs me about $50 to buy 40 pounds of dog food. But like, I can compare two different values. Yeah, dog food's expensive.
It is very expensive.
I have 4 dogs.
Bluefish? Oh, bluefish is really expensive.
Blue buffalo?
Oh, blue buffalo. Bluefish.
So, please make sure that we have these three different representations down our notes. There's the fraction representation, there's the colon representation. By the way, I like to goof with you guys, but that is a colon versus the semicolon has the comma. And then there's the verbal. This is the one that people forget about. So be ready if I give you on a test, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. If I give you the verbal 3 to 5, and I ask you to write that ratio in the other two ways, so go ahead and jot that on your paper, 3 to 5. We can rewrite that as 3 over 5 or 3 colon 5. That's it. Now, here's the trick that might make you mad.
Why do you try to trigger us?
No.
Like, why are you trying to trigger us?
Yeah, I was about to ask that same question, and I bet a bunch of you won't remember. What's an integer? Who can tell me what makes an integer an integer, Riley?
The integer, never mind. I'm going to say it and then you're going to be like, no.
What do you think?
I think that it's
Think about the beginning of the word integer. Integer. Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I don't.
Take your guess. No, hang on just a second. Hey, why all the side conversation? Raise your hand if you can answer my question. What an integer is. If you don't know what an integer is, I don't know why you're talking. Because if you don't know what an integer is, you have stuff to learn. Joey? Yeah, except negatives count also. So integer, entire number. Right, so integer, now hold on, here's my question that really might screw with your brain. So 8, right? 8 is an integer. It's an entire value. Negative 8 would also count because there's no partials. But we're going to talk in positive right now. Is 8 a rational number? So what that question really means is, can we write it as a fraction?
Oh my goodness.
Jalen said it. So please write this down. Every integer, every entire value
We learned that last year.
is also a rational value. So when I talk about a square, square is not the only name for this. It's also a rectangle. It's also a quadrilateral. It's also a polygon. It's not a triangle. A triangle has only... Yes, but we would not call it a triangle. So, hey, again, I got people with impulse control issues. So again, things can have multiple names that are all true. Adrian? What's another name? Yeah. So, and we can look at, there's a flow chart of shapes. So if you have a name down here, and you have the flow chart, every name above it also counts. Is also true. Insurance?
Oh my god!
That's a worse groaner than even I can think of. Oh, so, I don't know if you guys are... This might not be appropriate. No, it's probably appropriate. So, we're talking about the cookout and the weather coming tomorrow. And I said, we don't need to change the plans at all. We can just make it the hurricane awareness cookout. We're expected severe rain and severe wind, but not till later tomorrow. I'm not worried about the cookout at all. Probably not. And so, luckily Florence was not that bad, right? It made landfall and it wasn't that terrible. So let's look at 42. If you're playing along in numbering, number this 42, please.
They always exaggerate it.
When we talk about positives and negatives, what was that, Casey? Well, because we have had special events where we raise money for something. So my thought was really, if we could raise money and send it to hurricane relief, Like, yeah, so we might have to have a cookout inside or whatever because it's raining, but like that's nothing like being in a hurricane. So if we could somehow spin it to be a fundraiser, I thought that would be cool, but it's too short notice. Like, there's not enough time. We have a battlefield, right, or whatever you want to say. Think of like your Mortal Kombat screen or whatever.
Yeah.
We have. Guys, if I can't say those little things without you like losing control, then I just won't. I don't want to have to become a lame teacher because I won't like myself. Please don't make me. What happens with my 8, my -3, and my 2 to make the problem easier? Like, what should I do first? Yes or no? Your hand went up, then down, then up.
Well, maybe you could take that 2 and then make that -3 a 1.
Yeah, we could. Ava?
You could get the equation.
Okay, so everyone on your paper write down 8 plus -3 plus 2. Because that's where we start, right? The 8 showed up, then the bad guy 3 showed up, then the good guy 2 showed up. Ava, what do I do next? Do you know?
Yeah, okay, so what you have to do is you have to add the 8 plus 2, which equals 10.
Put your common forces together. Hey, these are both good guys. Put the good guys together. So we have a 10 power of good and a bad of 3. Who wins? Good guys, bad guys? Good guys, by how much? 7. Try, now please write the original equation first. Try that with B. We have some decimals. Trust me, you want to put the good guys together before the fight actually starts. Yeah, so we're not to absolute value, so be careful bringing that up. We're not there yet.
Wait, what?
Almost.
Oh my god.
I know time flies when you're having fun, right?
Math's fun, I guess.
All right. Luckily here, my good guys are actually standing next to each other, so it's easy. Now, break these numbers apart. Put together the whole values first, then the partial values. What's 12 and 7? 19. Then 0.25 and 0.5. 19.75 plus a -1.75. Who wins? Good guys, bad guys? Good guys, by how much? 18. All right, we are going to pick this up on Monday. Now, here's what's up. I'm going to need a reminder of where we are. Right, I got too much going in my head. So somebody remind me, we're on C of 42. You want to go ahead and put C on your paper? We're on C of 42. Have a great day, guys.
I see.
That was really quite a bad joke.
Tiny box.